Do you want to help strengthen this channel? It's easy. When making your purchases, use the provided links in the description of which we are affiliates. Every small gesture is very valuable to us.
You know, business districts of United States and UK and other places, I feel terrible for these women. All the time they have to be in a certain way. It is so hard to be a woman in the Western country these days. At one time it looked like freedom. You will see it is so extremely difficult to be a woman because she has to be always balancing on four-inch heels, and she has to be dressed like this, and she has to carry these bags like a man. Everything, heavy bags and computers and going here, going there, just doing the same stupid things that man is doing. This is all about how I earned a few dollars more than another man. This is just a stupid way to structure life both for a man and a woman. And for a woman, it will lead to lot more suffering. Today, over 40 years of age, I think over 45 years of age, 42% of the women in America are on some kind of antidepressants or something else. This doesn't speak well, this doesn't show that it's worked, isn't it? Well, exploitation comes. Whoever is powerful tries to exploit. See, you must understand it's not about a man or a woman. Whoever has the power tries to exploit. People are not trying to exploit the woman. They will exploit another man also, a child. Why children are beaten in this world? Simply because they're small. Hello? If your children were bigger than you, would you beat them, I'm asking you? So, anything that is weaker than you, somewhere you think you must exploit. If this has to go, the front end of your life should be your consciousness. Why consciousness is? See, when we sit here, your body is your body, my body is my body, 100%. Till they bury us, we don't understand it's the same stuff. Yes? When they bury us, we get it, it's the same soil. But right now, this is me, that's you, 100%. Now you are very cautiously agreeing, disagreeing, because your mind is your mind, my mind is my mind. Yes? But when it comes to life, there is no such thing as your life and my life. There is just life, this is a living cosmos. You captured a little bit of life, I captured a little bit, somebody else captured a little bit. But it's like blowing soap bubbles. You blew soap bubbles when you were young. So you got only this big bubble, somebody got this big bubble. Same soap. Everybody has air in the lungs, but one person gets this big bubble, another person gets this big bubble. Why do you think? Certain level of attention, isn't it? In blowing a simple soap bubble, there is a certain methodology and a technique to it. Now you filled up this much, poop, it went. Then you can't say, this is my air. There's no such thing. So similarly, as you sit here, there is your body and my body, your mind and my mind, there's no such thing as your life and my life. If you put that as the front end of your life, all these discriminations, prejudice, nonsense, your body will not work against you and anybody, your mind will not work against you or anybody, your emotions will not work against you or anybody, because it is the identity which decides how your mind functions, isn't it? Right now this feminism is coming from, I'm identified as a woman. No, physically you are a woman, it's fine. 50% of the population should be women, always. Always it should be. That is good. But your identity need not be 100%. You are identified as a woman at one level, but your identity need not be 100% with your female body, because this means we are identifying with body parts. If we must identify with body parts, why choose reproductive organs? At least choose the brains. But brain is my enemy.
So there's another question from Shruti. This question is for Sadhguru, the style icon. Nowadays, fashion is a multi-billion-dollar industry. At the same time, in the name of fashion, really unappealing gross trends also come out. In the name of fashion, are crossing a line, and how do we identify the line? Are we crossing the line, and how do we identify the line?
Well, the first sentence, withdraw that one, huh? I'm not a style icon or something. See, for those of you who do not know this, the third largest polluter on the planet is fashion industry right now. It's estimated across the world, compared to how many clothes, how much clothing our grandparents had, how much clothing we have is on an average 5 times more. All of you seeing that, isn't it? They're saying by 2025, that will double. That means we'll be 10 times more than our grandparents. Out of this, all this cloth that we are wearing, 98% of it is now synthetic fiber, only 2% is natural fiber. Out of this, 95% is polyfiber. Polyfiber has entered our bodies, has entered the plants, has entered the animals, has entered the food chain, water, soil, everything. This is one thing that's gone under the radar. Everybody is trying to shoot at that little plastic bag, which must be done, of course, but the polyfiber cloth is the largest polluter which is going under the radar. It is sitting on our clothing, on our bodies, constantly polluting everything because the micro polyfiber is just getting into everything. There are no poignant pictures of a turtle being trapped in a plastic bag or something like that, but we are all those turtles stuck in these things. So one of the things that we are doing is, as you know from your history, that India was the greatest supplier of textiles to the rest of the world at one time. 60% of the world's exports was Indian textiles 300 years ago. It was systematically destroyed during the British era. Over 3 to 4 million people died in about 50 years simply because the industry was systematically knocked down. And that's one reason why when the English left, nearly 91 or 92% of the people were in agriculture, because all these weavers went back to agriculture just for sustenance. That is why such small holdings all over the place and agriculture being in such disarray, one reason is because of destruction of handloom industries. To a point where one of the Governor-Generals said, the fields of India are bleached by the bones of the hand weavers in 1860, because millions died. So having said that, we still have the skills. India is poised, if we do the right things, to be able to clothe the world once again in a sensible way, in a natural way. And in the sense, this can be economically fantastic. We could completely stop farmer suicides and the distress of the farmer if part of the agriculture is towards generating natural fiber. We have various natural fibers in this country. Fortunately, I'm seeing the more high-end fashion designers. Recently, I don't know if you saw, we had conversation with Sabyasachi, and people like this are promoting natural fiber. Well, now that you called me a fashion icon, let me admit this. In the month of October, we are having a fashion show in New York City. Woo! This fashion show, I'm not going to walk the ramp, okay? This is not about showing the apparel, but this is about exposing the top designers in America to Indian textile, the fabric. So 30 varieties of fabric we are already have already transported to United States, it's waiting there. We're going to display this and give this material to them, of some part of it free of cost, so that they can try what they want, and to promote this. This could be a game changer for India's economy. It need not necessarily be handloom, even if it is machine woven, but natural fiber. If natural fiber comes back, there is no other nation on the planet which has the skills that we have. Yeah. Over 120 distinct varieties of weaves we have in this country. Nearly 50 of them will die any time in the next 10 to 15 years, because only one old person, one little couple are doing something, their children have become software engineers. And it will die in the next 10-15 years unless we revive, because we must understand this. I don't know if you've ever been to a handloom weaving thing, have you been there? Yeah. In Bangalore, there's a lot of silk saree weaving, you must go and see. At one time, my father believed that I will go into this because the larger family was involved in silk weaving. So I went there to see, I was just 17, I wanted to see how they do it. I was, cocky and like that. He's working on the loom, they're weaving a silk saree, he's just doing I'm just… I think, at that time I think I'm smart, then I realized that's different. And I'm paying full attention and looking. Simply he's doing this, simply one flower opens up in the cloth, another flower opens up here, geometrically perfect. If you have to put this into your software, it will take so much effort. This guy's got it in his head simply. So, we have destroyed this mainly because of compulsory education. Okay? If a son or a daughter with their father or mother goes to the loom or to the agricultural field to work with their parents, the parents could be arrested because child labor. So we are determined to destroy all the skills in the country and have millions of graduates who have the attitude of the educated and who don't know how to do a damn thing in their life. So, we push the education system towards only 50% of the time that you spend in the school should be academics. Rest of the time in villages, agriculture, craft, music, dance, folk arts, many things. For the first time, the central government announced about a month ago, 50% of the time is academics. But to implement that, it'll take… the speed at which we move, it may take 10-15 years, because infrastructure, training, you need teachers and everything. So coming to fashion, I think all of you must be style icons in some way. That means you're not just imitating some rubbish that some model or somebody does, something that fits you. Because each body is made differently, there is a certain way to arrange the aesthetics for your own self. For your body, and style is also for your mind and emotion, isn't it? Not just about your body. So it must arrange itself like that, and please, maybe right now it's not possible for everybody, at least one day in a week, please wear natural fiber. Many farmers will not die if you do just this one thing. At least one day in a week, wear natural fiber, you may save many farmers' lives, because this will be a steady market. If you grow more vegetables, it goes on the street. If you grow less, it's always a struggle. But if part of it goes into producing natural fiber as it used to be in this country, we were the largest cotton and jute manufacturers in the world, but all wiped out. Time to get it back.
So the next question is from Uma. The question goes, life in cities have become a nightmare for girls. groping, leering, lewd comments in public transport are a norm that girls have to put up with and unfortunately don't raise their voice against. What to do about such upsetting civilizational evil?
It's an unfortunate reality. At that moment, I know what is the reaction and what is it that we feel like doing. That's a different matter. But we must look at the larger picture. Why? Why is such a thing happening? See, this is because we are a society in transition. We have sort of given up our traditional ways of doing things. We have not caught up with another way of doing life totally. We're just hanging in between for too long. In the sense, probably 30 to 40% of the young people that you see in the cities are migrants, they've come from elsewhere. One thing is, when you're in a new place, you can afford to be irresponsible. They won't behave like that in their own village, okay? Because there are consequences. Here they are new. And another thing we have to address, if we have to look at it compassionately, is if he was in his village, his mother, his mausi, his atte, somebody would be talking, see, we're going to get you married to that girl, see that girl? That is going to be your wife. Whether it's going to happen or not, that's not the point. He thinks there is a solution for his hormonal struggles. Yes, it's a reality, come on. Between the ages of 15 and 25, this is at its peak. So, even if there is no physical solution, there must be a solution in thought and emotion that he knows that, this year you're going to get married, no, this year the crop is not good, okay, you'll get married next year, they may postpone it 5 years, but he is living in that comfort that there is a solution for him. You take that guy and transplant him into Bangalore city. He's just a wild creature. He's living somewhere, 10 people in one room. Daytime one set sleeps, nighttime another set sleeps in the same room. That's a living conditions, I'm saying. And there is no family, there is no any kind of balancing factor in him, there's no society for him, it's just dog-eat-dog world for him. And for his hormonal stuff, there is no solution. Nobody is telling him that girl is for you. His mind is going crazy. He watches movies, these days pornographic stuff is all over the place, he's watching it on the phone. So he thinks this is what every girl wants. He is unable to think beyond that, you must understand his problem. See, first of all, what puberty or adolescence means is, see, when you were, let's say 10, 12 years of age, you looked at somebody, they were just fine. Suddenly you became 14, 15, your intelligence got hijacked by your hormones. You look at somebody, every bump on their body looks like a world by itself. Yes, this is the reality. Now that guy who is transplanted from a village to here, and his idea of a woman was his mother or his mausi or somebody, now he's seeing young girls here, the kind of girls that you only saw in movies maybe. Now one drop of alcohol, the guy will pounce on you. Little more push he needs. All these rapes and things you're seeing is just this. Already he's out of control, he's somehow holding himself, put 1 or 2 drops of alcohol in his mouth, boom, he'll go crazy. So this is an unfortunate situation, it's a cruel situation for him, it's a cruel situation for those who are victimized by him. But we are a society in transition, it's time we address our issues directly. Don't go on thinking it'll get solved if we close our eyes and sit. It doesn't get solved. So, as a society, we must debate. Are you going to go back to 16 years of age, you can get married? Or are you going to go back to a place where you will discuss and see how to conduct this society? After all, there are young people, they have their needs. How are you going to address this? We need to directly, head-on, we must approach it, not slinking around it, not hiding behind religious books and this and that. You need to address it. This is the issue, how to deal with it. If you don't do that, this is what they're doing. See, one thing is, when such things are done to you, how horrible you feel is one thing. But I want you to also think, how degenerate does he feel doing these things? There is a certain degeneration. He can only do it when he believes he cannot be caught, isn't it? Because there is a certain degeneration of mind, essentially because it is just like a hungry child grabbing something and running away to eat. He is in the same mode with his sexuality. We need to address this. Very important we address it. The sooner we address it, the better it is.
Thank you, Sadhguru. We have questions from the audience now. We will be taking questions from the audience. Logistic members, please help the audience.
You don't look like Mount Carmel.
There is a question on top as well. Yes, please address it to Sadhguru.
Namaste, Sadhguru.
Namaskaram.
I'm Harshita. My question to you is, what do you think about the concept of hell or heaven? Hell or heaven, what do you think about that concept?
I heard it, I was just trying to figure out where you are, what… Is it heaven or… if you jump, it'll be hell for sure.
I won't do that.
So, listen.
Thank you, Harshita.
See, those who have made a hell out of themselves are always aspiring to go to heaven. Yes. If I'm sitting here and I'm blissed out, totally, look at my eyes. It looks like I'm always stoned. Yes, never touched a substance, but this is the most complex chemical factory in the world. Is that so? Do you agree with me? The question is only, are you a great CEO or a lousy CEO of this chemical factory? If you were a great CEO, you would keep this all the time, blissed out, right chemistry. If you're a lousy CEO, you produce bad chemistry and you think it's because of this one or that one or that one. So, for some reason people are feeling miserable. Their chemical factory is not going the way they want. They can call it sadness, they can call it misery, they can call it depression. I know in Bangalore a whole lot of people are against me, continuously trying to troll me because of depression business. I'm saying again, for those activists, I'm saying again, if you know how to manage your chemistry, your depression will go. Even if you go to the doctor, he's only going to give you chemicals, isn't it? So do you think the pharmaceutical industry that they're using there has better chemical structures than my body? Do you believe that? That means you're a vested interest, you have investments in pharma industry. So, when this is feeling like hell, we hope that somewhere when we go up there, how are you feeling out there? That everything will be fantastic. What's her name? Arpita? Harshita. Harshita. Harshita means, blissed out. So, this happened in Alabama. You know Alabama state? It's a special state, it's a different kind of state, hardcore religious state. So in a Sunday school teacher was going all out, full rhetoric, full force. And unfortunately, The audience were not like you, they were all tiny tots. It's a catch them young policy. In his full rhetoric, he was going and children were sitting like this. Suddenly he stopped for dramatic impact. He stopped and he said, "What do you have to do to go to heaven?" Little Mary in the front bench stood up and said, "If I mop the church floor every Sunday morning, I will go to heaven." Absolutely. Another little girl out there said, if I share my pocket money with my less privileged friend, I will go to heaven. Correct. Another boy said, if I help people who are in need, I will go to heaven. Correct. Little Tommy in the back bench stood up and said, "You gotta die first." Well, that's a qualification. If you want to go to heaven, you got to die first. So when you die, depending on your culture, we will either bury you or burn you or cut you and throw you to the birds. Yes, one of these things we will do, depending on your culture. So one thing is very clear, you will put your body back into the earth and it's a very eco-friendly thing to do. If you've not done anything in your life eco-friendly, that is one act which will be good. You should not take your body and go. You must put it back into the earth because this belongs to the earth. So you left your body and went to heaven. You know what is in heaven, Harshita? No? You know? Okay, okay. So, what is in heaven? In Hindu heaven, food is very good. If you are a foodie, you must go to Hindu heaven. Nala himself will cook personally for you. He's the greatest chef. If you go to another kind of heaven, white-gowned ladies will float around in the clouds. If you like that kind of ambience, you go there. If you go to another heaven, you will have virgin problems. If that's what you're looking for, you go there. But you went there without the body. What do you do with good food and virgins, I'm asking? Hello? You don't have a body, these are all bodily problems, isn't it? No body, what do you do with food and virgins? In the Hindu way of life, there is a thing, up there in heaven, there is an Akshaya Patra. How much ever you eat, food will always be full. Well, when you go without a body, food will always remain full in the vessel. And they will always remain virgins. So, we have been doing this for a long time. This was one simple way. You must understand the managerial skills of the traditional people. This was a way of managing humanity. You're miserable. You… don't worry, when you go there, everything will be okay. Solace. So if it is a psychologist saying these things, it's okay. But you really made them believe everything is going to be better somewhere, you can mess up your life here, that's not good. Somebody is in deep state of suffering, don't worry, when you go and sit in God's lap, everything will be okay. It's a psychological tool. It's fine when people are in extreme states, but don't brand it and sell it everywhere because it's not going to work like that. So, now heavens are collapsing in people's minds. Why there is such an increase of consumption of alcohol and drugs on the planet is mainly because still people are not articulating it, but in their minds, heavens are collapsing. How many of you are thinking, one day when I go to heaven, everything will be fantastic? Not many of you, I'm sure. But in the previous generation, if you had looked, the numbers were quite significant. So heavens are obviously collapsing in human mind, because if you ask three questions, all the three heavens will collapse. Yes. So now once human intellect became active, inevitably it'll ask questions. If you ask questions, these things will collapse. So people are trying to have alternatives right here, that they're getting drunk and drugged right here. So this is the moment. All of you young people must understand this. At this point of time, if we don't raise human consciousness in a big way, if you don't teach people how to sit here absolutely blissed out by your own nature, believe me, in another 50 to 70 years' time, at least 90% of the human population will be on some kind of chemical. To be healthy, they need chemicals. To be peaceful, they need chemicals. To be joyful, they need chemicals. For everything, they need chemicals. I want you to know this, 70% of US population is on prescription medication. The most affluent nation on the planet. Why does individuals and society seek affluence? Because the first step of affluence is choice of food, choice of nourishment. The second step of affluence is choice of lifestyles. The most incredible variety of food is in front of you and enormous lifestyle choices are there, and in this society, 70% of the people are on pharmaceutical, prescription medication. This clearly shows if you do economic development without also cultivating human consciousness, our wealth will become our biggest problem. So we are still on the threshold of economic development. This is the time where we have to invest in evolving human consciousness. For all this previous question, the problems that you asked and everything, fundamentally evolution of human societies need to happen. But there is no such thing as a society, there's just you and me. It's only individual people. If you and me evolve, society has evolved, world has evolved, isn't it? Society is only abstract, it is actually all of us individuals, isn't it? So if individual evolution in terms of becoming conscious doesn't happen, you will see 90% of the population will fall into chemicals. When they fall into chemicals, I'm not talking about this as a moral thing. If 90% of the human population goes on constant usage of chemicals, the next generation that we produce will be a generation which will be much less than who we are, and that's a crime against humanity. Every generation, the next generation that comes, must be at least one notch better than who we are. If we produce a generation less than us, then we have committed a crime against humanity, we have taken humanity backwards. And that is what will happen if chemical usage multiplies and it is going wild. This is the time to raise consciousness, that's why we are here with you. To blow your mind without cocaine.
I think Anjali has a follow-up question to that, so post her question, we will continue taking questions from the audience.
So just going back a little, so psychology and psychiatry has been infamously held by the neck because of pills. This is something that, has been like a raising concern in everybody's mind, because at least that stigma of going to counselors have fortunately come down a little, but the fact that people go to psychiatrists and the fact that they are prescribed pills is somehow still there. And the fact of the matter is that when a patient is put on pills, it's not the be-all and end-all of it. They do not stick to the pills for the rest of their lives. They are put on the pills so that the psychotherapy or like the therapy works on them, and little by little they are actually put off the pills. And until and unless that entire procedure of putting you off the pills and making you independently live without the pills happen, the procedure is incomplete. Unfortunately, a lot of these procedures are, left halfway because, people do not complete the term of, their therapy. But the entire science…
You're telling me… I'm not rubbishing the science. I did not rubbish the science. Death simply means somebody who was available to you is now absent, that's all. It is not because one life vanished, you're crying about it. It is just that somebody who was, filling a part of the collage for you is absent, so it leaves a hole in your life. Depending upon how close they were, accordingly it leaves that big a hole in your life. So, what you're battling with is not the death of a person, what you're battling with is the size of the hole they have left in your life. Suppose a faraway relative or a friend, somebody that you know, an acquaintance died, you feel bad for an hour and then you get back to normal. But somebody very close and dear to you passed away, and now they've left a huge hole. So your problem is you trying to tend to this hole, which is within yourself. This hole has happened essentially. Now what I say may sound little brutal for people who are in that situation, but one must understand this. If you look for solace, yes, if somebody comes to me who have just lost somebody dear to them, I will also hug them and, protect them and give them some solace. But you must decide whether you want solace or you want a solution to your life. Because today this person will die, tomorrow that person will die, day after tomorrow I may die myself, it doesn't matter. But people keep dying because we are dying kind of people. Let's understand this, all of us, we are dying kind of people. First thing that must be fixed in our mind, we are mortal by nature. So having said that, grief, we must understand, it is on many different levels. There is a psychological grief. In thought and emotion you suffer the loss of the person. But depending upon how much memory you have built within your body with regard to that person, let's say if it's your child or your husband or your wife or some kind of very close bond, then a certain amount of memory is there in your body. We call this traditionally in the yogic culture as runanubandha, that is, body has developed a bond beyond your psychological friendships and companionships and love and whatever else you have. Body itself has done this. A whole lot of people feel this. Somebody close to them died somewhere, they have not received any information. Suddenly they feel their energies are gone and they're like, they don't know what's happened, but suddenly they're almost sick, they're feeling like that, completely drained out. Then after a few hours or few days, information comes that this person is dead. But well before the information came, they will feel this because within the body there is a certain process that the memory starts undoing itself and you feel like you're dumped. Your runanubandha with your parents or with your children is strongest till you're 21 years of age. Once you cross 21 years of age, it is called as the first quarter. In the yogic way of looking at it, 84 is the cycle of life. The first quarter is 21. Up to 21, if you lose a parent or if you lose a child below 21 years of age, the pain will not just be emotional, it'll be physical. It will manifest in the body because there is a strong runanubandha. But beyond 21, it is largely psychological and emotional. When we say runanubandha, what you suffer emotionally or psychologically, that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about physical memories. Bodies have memories. Because what you call as a parent is the basis of this body. There is a very deep memory connection between the two that is at its strongest till 21 years of age. Once you pass that, it is weakened. Is it gone? Not totally gone, weakened. Let us say you're 42 years of age and you're a man, then you still have a reasonably painful runanubandha. But let us say you're 42 years of age and you're a woman, your runanubandha is almost negligible. Not that it's not there, it's there, but very, very low. So,
The suffering that you go through is largely emotional and psychological. If you're psychologically very stable, emotionally balanced, you will see you will handle it quite effortlessly because there is no physical turmoil going on in the system. But the same thing, if they lose their husband, that runanubandha is physically painful because that is a different type of runanubandha. A child below 7.5 years of age doesn't have much runanubandha. The mother and father may have enormous runanubandha, but on the other side, there is not much runanubandha. This is not just for psychological reasons. A child below 7.5 years of age doesn't suffer much, doesn't go through the turmoil physically. May suffer because of not being taken care of and those kind of situations if they are there. I don't want to go into the detailed mechanics of what it is, but if you are over 42 years of age and you are a woman and you lost a parent, this is why in this culture, women are not required to do karmas. Karma is done for the dead, not so much for you. But if you're below 21 years of age, it's very, very important you do it because it's both for the dead and for you. It's very important for you because the person who died, whatever happens, happens. But your life can be in a constant turmoil because there is a physical memory which torments you at a different level. Even if you're mentally stable, emotionally very balanced, still there is a certain torment going within you. For this, there are yogic processes with which you can rejuvenate the system. There's a whole system of things to do. Here at the yoga center, we've kept it very alive. For people who lose their loved ones, we do certain processes so that the physical memory is taken away. Once the physical memory is taken away, the psychological suffering can be dealt with by the individual person much more easily. How to perform karmas and kriyas for dead if you are not able to physically do something? The simple thing is to go into a 3-day period of sadhana because internally you can do this. Beyond a certain age, it is largely for the dead that we are doing it. But there is an element of that, it's not totally gone. Our bodies are never 100% free from the genetic process that we have received from our parentage. There is a way to be above that, but we are not absolutely free. Physical body functions in a certain way. So, just 3 days of withdrawal and a certain type of sadhana, if you don't know anything else, simply just do the Maha Mantra, Om Namah Shivaya intensely for 3 days as much as you can. A minimum of 4.5 hours a day if you do this, you don't have to really bother about that because it's also nice to withdraw, it's a sensitive time, but now deaths and funerals and what happens post-death is all become a social nonsense that you have to have people at home, you have to serve them drink, you have to serve them food. This… in the Western countries it's become a big thing, even in India, certain kind of thing is building up. It's best that you just withdraw from society and nonsense and spend some private time. When somebody significant in your life passes away, it's important that you withdraw and do something with yourself rather than simply trying to run the social thing like a distraction. This social thing is, people's way of handling their grief is, let's go to the movie, let's read a book, let's watch the television. Don't look for distractions. When there are troubles within us, we must address it head on. Don't look for distractions. Distraction is not a solution.
Be a multiplier of love and knowledge. Share this video with those you love, and together, let's spread light throughout the world.